I'm going to be doing a little exercise which helps us to let go of things that we don't want to take with us into the future. Now, I tend to do this actually around the solstice, the winter solstice. You can do this around the New Year, but I think this is something you can do at absolutely any time. I would say, particularly if there's a change in your caring situation, perhaps your caring situation changes or even comes to an end. This would be a really good thing to then sort of just refresh your life and move ahead. Now, the first thing to do is to, if you can, make your space your own. And I know that's not possible for everybody, but I have come to the end of the room. I've lit the fire, which is quite important for this exercise, the way I'm going to do it, but it's also not essential if you don't have a fire, which most of us don't. I've also lit a candle. I've made myself some hot chocolates, and I've got my dog on the floor out of sight because he may do anything weird, as you know, but he's curled up in his bed snoring. You may hear him. I'm sitting on a little beanbag. I've got my fluffy slippers on. I've made myself comfortable. So do treat yourself as though you're somebody that you like, because sometimes I think we forget to do that. Treat yourself as if you're a really good friend. And with our pen and paper, I'm going to skim through this quite quickly. So this might be something that you might like to come back to at some point. But first of all, write a list of things that you're grateful for. So I know that some of you are quite used to doing gratitude practice, in which case you can probably just start writing. If you're in a position where you're thinking, well, what is there to be grateful for? This is a hopeless situation. Start small. Start with, I got out of bed today. Maybe if you didn't get out of bed, but you've got to bed, it's cozy, it's a warm place. That's something to be grateful for. You've woken up, maybe you've had breakfast, maybe you can hear the birds singing. It might be absolutely anything. It might be gratitude for your own home and your own space. It might be gratitude. So, for example, I put my mum's health. I'm grateful that the person I care for is healthy. I'm grateful that I still have my very ancient dog. And I'm grateful to have my partner, even though he lives over 100 miles away. I'm grateful to have him around. So try and find all of those little things to be grateful for. And actually, once you start writing, you'll probably find that that list goes on and on and on. And there's a lot more on that list than you originally thought. So, cutting on ahead. The next list is where we go deeper. And now think of what's been a challenge. So you might decide to choose over the last year. You might choose to choose what has been a challenge today. Things that you've found hard. And just write them all down. So, for example, I find things like pushing my mum's wheelchair is really, really hard. It hurts my back. It hurts my knees. My separation from my partner. As I said, he lives a long way away, and I really struggle with that. Disturbance of the carers always coming in. We've got people walking in right now. All of those things that are a daily struggle. So just write them down, and writing them down will hopefully help to release them. I don't want you to get into a place of gloom, thinking about everything that's difficult, but actually putting it into words hopefully will help. And then this is the exciting bit. So now you're going to choose what you don't want to take forward. And that might just be a mindset. It might be an emotion that you think doesn't serve you anymore. So, for example, I get very angry as a carer, and I know that's something that's shared with a lot of carers. We feel very hard done by. We feel that when we try to access services, we get pushed back. And then as a natural response, we can get angry, and I do. But I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to be that person, and I really want to move on from that. So I've written down here, I release the anger I feel towards the authorities. Quite a big one. I'm going to rip it off. And make a ceremony of it if you can. And the important thing is to say it out loud. It's all one thing writing it down, but say it out loud. And then you will realise how difficult it is to let go of. Because this anger, I feel, is a sort of self-preservation thing. Of course, I could be angry when somebody promises me something and I don't get it. But it's actually only me that's hurting, so I want it to go. So I'm going to say, I release the anger I feel towards the authorities. And I've got to mean it. I need to say it again because I can feel it sticking in my throat, isn't it? I release the anger I feel towards the authorities, and I'm burning it. So, just a little thing before I start. If you have an open fire or a wood burner, please go ahead and burn things. If you have an outdoor space where you maybe have a fire pit or even a metal bucket where you can set a small fire and burn these things, yes, please. Even if you can go outside with a candle and hold these things and then drop them onto, say, a patio or something, then please burn. If you're not in a position to burn things, please don't. You can rip it up, you can scribble all over it, you can screw it into a ball, you can put it in your compost heap. However you want to do it, you can get rid of it. But I'm going to get rid of it by burning it. I release the anger I feel towards the authorities. And there it goes in the fire, taking a while to catch, but it will. I've got one more, and this is, I've recently changed my mum's GP from one that was awful, and they were horrible to me, and I could not get an appointment, and they were so obstructive and pushed me back to the point that it developed anxiety in me every time I had to ring the GP. We've moved to a different GP, and all the experience I've had with them has been absolutely brilliant, exactly what you would want from a GP. But I still feel the anxiety when I ring the GP. I still think I'm going to be put on hold for ages and they're going to be horrible, but they're not. So I am now, I let go of my anxiety around dealing with the GP. I need to say it again. I let go of my anxiety around dealing with the GP. And in it goes. Now, I do emphasize you having to say it out loud. I did this a few years ago, and I wanted to forgive somebody who'd bullied my partner at work to the point that he'd left the job. And it really rankled with me. And I had to say it out loud several times. I forgive such and such a person. If you've said it out loud and you really mean it, it's more likely to actually happen. Now, if you need to scale down this practice, because obviously we don't all have a fire, we don't all have a private space, you can find other ways to scale it down. And on its very smallest level, you could do it out on a park bench and you could think the things, you could write them down, but you could imagine them flying off in the wind if you're really not able to get the privacy to really do this. And you can do it in a sort of micro way. It might just be at the end of the day that you've had a particular emotion that you did not enjoy and did not serve you well. And at the end of the day, you can just choose to release it and let it fly away.